Um, you suggested calling up Miranda now. What if we called Miranda? That way you could talk to her, but wouldn't have to do it alone. Cove brightened up, the concerned furrow in his brow which had taken root when Miranda first called.
Well,
that could work. Terry, are you up for it? She made a noise that wasn't a word, but nevertheless conveyed her hesitation and worry, but she thought she brought it to a close with a decisive exultation, as if pushing all negative thoughts from her body. Alright, I'll do it. Cove nodded now that you received approval from everyone. He pulled out your phone and called Miranda. He set it to speaker and waited for her to pick up. Luckily she did.
Hi.
Her voice was still distant, as if her thoughts were elsewhere, but it was loud enough for your needs. Hi, you're on speaker. Terry is on speaker too, on Cove's phone. Oh. She paused while she digested this information. You watched the phone screen, hoping that she wouldn't hang up as a result. Yep, it's really me. Can you hear my voice all the way from your house to theirs and then mine? I can. You and Cove exchanged looks, waiting for the wall between them to break and wondering who would be the one to do it. As the quiet dragged on, you caught Cove chewing his cheek. He must have weighed up the same question as you, whether to encourage the conversation along or leave Miranda and Terry to resolve it themselves. The answer came in the form of one sniff, followed by another from Cove's phone.
Sorry.
Randy, I hope you still like me. What? You're the one acting as if you didn't like me? Her tone was defensive, no doubt a result of her wounds from last night still being raw. No way, everyone likes Randy. You're wonderful. Your eyes met Cove's. His phone was tilted toward you, capturing the call indirectly. You moved your phone closer to his, hoping that the signal was strong enough to convey every nuance of tone. Cove did likewise, bringing his cell phone right next to yours, even bumping against it as he shifted his grip. I didn't know what to say. That's the only reason I wouldn't talk to you. If I had known the answer, I'd have told you right away. Miranda murmured on the end of the line. You didn't want to say anything. I tried to do bother. Wait, what? I tried to do bothered you? Oh. You didn't want to stay. Anything I tried to do bothered you, and you could have told me you didn't know. Yeah, I think I was angry at myself. I did a dumb thing, and I didn't want to help with it. I wanted to be mad and just deal with it myself. It made me keep doing dumb things. Oh. When she spoke again, her voice was quiet, as tender and vulnerable as the
I'm
words.
sorry.
Staying up late watching stuff was all my fault. I had to find a way to fix it. That's what I thought anyway, but I should have given you space. I'm sorry for being so pushy and sensitive. Hardly, Miranda Eckhart. Having a flaw? I've never heard of such a crazy thing. Miranda let out a ghost of a giggle. Cove cleared his throat. Maybe you should call each other now? Sorry! Can do. Thanks for giving me the kick in the butt to do this already. Randy, Mandy, I'm gonna call you right now. Hi, Zeke and Cove. She hung up after squeezing in another quick bye, though not giving you or Cove room to respond in kind. Miranda laughed the noise, tinkling gently like wind chimes in a summer breeze.
You're really nice.
Thank you for listening and helping. I'm gonna hang up now so I can answer Terry's call. Bye. Bye and good luck. Bye, talk to you soon. Miranda hung up, still chuckling softly as your call ended. The room felt emptier without their voices in it. Cove expelled a sigh that crashed through the newly fallen silence. He dropped his arms to his side, letting his head hang down like a puppet at rest. Thank God. They shouldn't have involved us in that. I'm so relieved it's okay. You were simply happy your friends had made it up. The day's events had drained you. You were content now that Cove see that ease again. I'm so relieved it's over. Oh, okay. I knew what I was pressing. Cove scratched his face, expression cloudy. I think I need to find a better way for dealing with conflict, because that was awful. We could all probably do better at that. I think you did okay given the circumstances. Yeah, I think that would help. You didn't comment. I think you did okay given the circumstances. Cove meekly smiled as he rubbed his eyes, weariness creeping over him, and mumbled his next words. We can talk about it another day. Conflict resolution methods? Oh no, forget it. Your eyebrows rose and then a light bulb went off in your head. Before Miranda called, didn't you say there was something you wanted to say? Cove's original visit had been thrown so off kilter that it was a struggle to wind your memory back to when he first turned up. Now you did, though you remember that he had been perky when he had arrived this afternoon. Was it good news? Cove brushed his hands against his now folded arms shyly. Well, yeah, maybe. not exactly sure it counts as news or even good. It's just is what it is. I'm happy about it though. You were curious, but you didn't want to push Cove if you didn't want to speak about it. You don't have to say anything, but if it makes you feel good, I think it is good news. Cove chuckled awkwardly, a hand creeping up to ruffle the hair on the back of his head. It's fine, if you want to hear, I can tell you. He shifted on his feet as if a different posture might give him the support he needed for the conversation. I didn't want to make it a big deal, but I kind of, well, not kind of, I know what my sexuality is now. Oh! A real subject change, huh? He chuckled. True, it was unexpected, but you were excited that Cove had come to understand himself more, and glad he wanted to share that with you. That's great, tell me more. Cove drew a breath, straightening up. I'm demisexual, so, most of the time I don't really have those kinds of feelings, physical wants and stuff. It's only in some situations when I'm already really emotionally and romantically connected to someone that I started to ever think about anything sexual, and it's only with them. I hadn't heard the term until pretty recently, and it just made a lot of sense once I knew what it meant. I had a word that fit how I felt. And I remember in late high school, I think my junior year, I was talking to freshmen, and they're like, so what's your sexuality? And in my head I was like, I did not have a lot of conversations about this. And my mind just went blank when she asked that, because I didn't know what to answer. And then I think the other freshman was like, heterosexual, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the one. And then I was talking, and I was like, yeah, but I was like, I don't think I could just have a one night stand with someone. I feel like if I were to have a relationship with someone, I would have to have a real emotional connection to have sex with them. And then the girl that asked me about my sexuality was like, so you're demisexual? And I was like, what? that was a very interesting year for me. And I'm panromantic, because I've never had a preference for a specific gender or anything, so yeah. I've thought about that, but I'm not sure. That makes sense. Cove looked down at the floor, being so open and direct about a matter that personal, which you were sure he'd spent a long time trying to figure out seemed to be kind of weird for him. Despite that, there was a small, proud smile on his face, and when he looked up again, his gaze was steadfast. All this talk of homosexuality made you reflect about your own. Your feelings on yours hadn't wavered. Your view has evolved since you were younger. I'm glad they let us do this. You had physical attraction in a general way. You only seemed to feel physical attraction in specific cases and situations. You didn't really have a physical interest in other people. You didn't think you could tell if you had an interest in people physically. There was only one person you ever had those kinds of feelings for. I'll go with this one. You only seem to feel physical attraction in specific cases and situations. You didn't think you could tell if you had an interest in people physically. See, this is so hard for me to think about, because I've never dated anyone ever. I'll go with that one. Romantic attraction generally. I'll go with the first one. Specifically, when it came to how you feel towards men, you found them attractive, you thought you'd be happy with a guy someday. I'll go with that one. You found them attractive, you thought you might be happy with a woman someday, with a girl someday. Yeah, I'll go with that one. And how you felt towards envies? Oh. I mean, I still feel that way, yeah. You told Cove your own sexuality. You hadn't told Cove how your feelings had changed. You told Cove your own sexuality in the past. I feel like I would have already told him. Yeah. I mean, I feel like my friends saw me evolve when I made new discoveries, even if I'm still not going to come to terms with it. He had always been supportive about the topic, listening actively and supporting you in whatever conclusion you reached. It was heartwarming that he had reached a point where he felt similarly capable of discussing his own. You felt his tiredness deep in the marrow of your bones. If it hadn't been a tiring day now, everything was neatly wrapping up, for today at least, and you had earned a rest. You had some good talks and come out of it not knowing each other, not only knowing each other better, but yourself too. Hey, we should probably head downstairs soon if your moms are still wanting everyone to get together. Yeah, that's right. With a renewed spring in your step, you had led the way out of your room. You got downstairs to find the others already assembled and waiting.
Hi.
Hello. Hey. Good to see you both.
Hey!
Hi, here we were. Here we were, trying to corral everyone into a group. The two of you were already upstairs this whole time. I gotta grab my chips. Of course we were together. You paid Z to stick with me, or did you forget? The statement was meaningless to your family, who looked to each other for answers in vain. Mr. Holden, who got the message loud and clear, seemed embarrassed. He chuckled nervously, rubbing the back of his neck. Ouch, son. You always know when to remind me of that. Uh-huh. I can't let you live it down yet. Can we hear exactly what this secret is? The suspense is killing us.
Right.
I better get everyone up to speed. He held up his hands, palms out, pacifying his audience, or perhaps holding them up as a shield in advance. The first day I had met Z, I've been worried about the Cove being alone for the summer.
Well...
There weren't a lot of kids around here, and yeah, it wasn't exactly on best terms with me at that time. He glanced around at your family, gauging their response. I felt like this was my one shot, so I kind of offered her $20 to be friends with Cove, and added that she couldn't tell him about it. Liz gasped. Mom was staring incredulously at Mr. Holden, while Mom's eyebrows had retreated to her hairline. You and Cove, already knowing the story, were the only ones unaffected. But after a while, I really did honestly forget it even happened. He raised his hands higher, now level with his shoulders. Not a bad idea, you thought. If Mom felt inclined to throw a cushion at him, he'd probably manage to block it in time. I know that it's bad, but I've had so many grand ideas over the years. It's hard to keep track of them all. Cove smiled and placing his hands on his hips and shaking his head at his father's antics.
Seriously?
I can't believe you, though. Also, I totally can. Your moms were less indulgent. The shock had ebbed away to displeasure. Mom's foot was tapping rapidly as she frowned at the next-door neighbor, while Ma had her arms crossed over her chest and her lips pursed. I'm sorry, Z, and I'm sorry to your parents, too. That was way out of bounds. Don't worry about it. Everything worked out. Your moms gave each other that look where they seemed to communicate with their eyes only. Alright, well, that is that then. And it won't happen again.
Absolutely.
It definitely won't.
Alright.
It was a little surprising that they were letting him off the hook, but on the other hand, it was a long time ago now, and you were sure your moms remembered those painful early days of Cove's arrival too. Mr. Holden wasn't a potential bad influence anymore, so a lecture would be pretty moot. Instead, your ma gave him a lenient
In
smile.
that case,
Now that it's settled, why don't we find something to do? Nods of agreement cascaded through the group, and a couple waves the suggestion. Mr. Holden's shoulders slumped with a release of tension. He brought his hands down, tucking them away into his pockets. How about cards? There was a murmur of interest from the others. You were keen to play, that was fine with you. You played along with the others. You didn't really want to play cards. I love cards, if you know me. You were keen to play. It was very nearly, but not quite unanimous. Mr. Holden demurred. I don't think I'll sit this one out. Where's the fun in that? Join in. We're not too angry with you. Yes, and I know there's a lot of people, but we can make it work. Mr. Holden shrunk into himself, embarrassed by their intention. Dad, you love playing cards. We do it at our house all the time. Dad? Mr. Holden broke under the combined force of everyone's attention. Cove, you're an adult now. You deserve to know the truth. I used to throw the card game so you could win. Oh! Let's go. I put up a good fight, but I always made sure to lose a lot more rounds than I won. He toyed with the ends of his ponytail, clearly distressed at the second great secret he was revealing today. I know people want to be taken seriously and fake ones don't mean as much, but I couldn't help myself. So much better when everyone else got the chance to be victorious. Kira knew and went along with it. Cove laughed in disbelief that this was the thing his dad stressed about hiding after the other stunts he pulled over the years. So what? Lots of parents do that. I hadn't guessed it. Sure, though looking back it makes sense. That's right. What's the big deal, Cliff? You could finally take the kid's glove off and give them a run for their money. Maybe even actual money in your case. Mr. Holden smiled coyly, his gaze lowering. I'm not sure that's a good idea.
Why?
Why not? I feel like they put the wrong voice there, didn't they? I don't know. He waved his hand expansively, the movements fluid and vague. It's just actually, I'm something of a card shark. Oh, sorry, I saw a car outside. It's just actually, I'm something of a card shark. I used to make lots of fast cash off games. Casual players don't have a shot unless it's a game of pure luck. Ko's jaw hung open, his eyes wide and fixed on his father. Really? There was a touch of amazement, even admiration, nestled among the shock. The other members of the Storm family exchanged looks ranging from Liz's disbelief to Mom's intrigue, with Ma somewhere in the middle between the two. You can't simply make a claim like that and expect us to go along with it. Let's see you pack it up, Shark Man. Mr. Holden gave her a crooked smile, his demureness quickly being replaced with the confidence of someone very skilled or very misguided. You sure about that? Definitely. We've got to see this so-called non-casual player in action. Well, I might be able, though who knows, maybe I've gotten rusty. His coyness continued to rile the gang up, and he was getting a kick out of it now.
Please?
Come on, please.
Alright.
I can dust off the old tricks. Great. Cope beamed at his father while Mom clapped Mr. Holden on the back, was darted off to get a deck of cards, while the rest of you settled in for the game. Hands were dealt. Mr. Holden wasted no time proving his words true, wiping the floor with all of you. He played several rounds, even switching games, but none of you were a match for him. That was how the alliance came to be forged, the rest of you joining force against Mr. Holden only just to try increasing the odds of beating him. With your combined efforts, he pulled off a few victories, yet it was still a challenge. He was clearly a professional. If these were his skills now, rusty with disuse, you couldn't even imagine what a deadly opponent he had been in the past. Despite that, you still had fun. Working cooperatively actually fostered a sense of camaraderie with the others. Mr. Holden didn't appear fazed by the strategy. You actually wondered whether the increased challenge made it more interesting for him. You spent the rest of the afternoon together with your family and the Holdens, having fun. It was an interesting evening for sure, with many discoveries for everyone. It was freeing, and yet simultaneously you felt more tied together than you had been before. So that's the end of that one. Charity. I guess that's that work, I think.